The old Victorian mansion at 1247 Elm Street had been empty for over 2 decades when Emma Rodriguez first walked through its dust-covered rooms. As a freelance journalist specializing in local history, she had been commissioned by the Cedar Grove Historical Society to research the property's past before its scheduled demolition. What she discovered would challenge everything she thought she knew about the power of secrets and the lengths people will go to bury the truth. Emma's investigation began with what seemed like a simple task. The mansion had belonged to the Blackwood family, prominent members of Cedar Grove society from the 1920s through the 1960s. According to public records, the family had mysteriously abandoned the property in 1967, leaving behind all their possessions and never returning. The house had sat empty ever since, becoming the subject of local legends and ghost stories that had persisted for generations. The first strange discovery came when Emma found a hidden room behind a bookshelf in the mansion's library. The room contained dozens of filing cabinets filled with documents, photographs, and personal correspondence dating back to the 1940s. But what made this discovery truly unsettling was that every single document in the room had been systematically altered. Names had been whited out, dates had been changed, and entire sections of text had been carefully removed with razor blades. Among the altered documents, Emma found fragments of what appeared to be a journal written by Margaret Blackwood, the family matriarch. The entries that remained readable told a disturbing story of family secrets, mysterious disappearances, and a desperate attempt to rewrite history. Margaret wrote about protecting the family name and ensuring certain truths never surface. She mentioned meetings with unnamed individuals who had the power to make problems disappear permanently. The investigation took a darker turn when Emma discovered that the Blackwood family's official biography, which had been published in several local history books, contained numerous factual errors and omissions. According to public records, the family had 3 children, Robert, Elizabeth, and James. But Emma found evidence of a 4th child, a daughter named Catherine, who had completely vanished from all official documentation after 1952. Emma's research revealed that Catherine Blackwood had been a promising young artist who had gained recognition in regional art circles for her provocative paintings that challenged social norms of the 1950s. Her work often depicted scenes of social injustice and questioned the moral authority of prominent community leaders. Several of her paintings had been featured in gallery exhibitions, and she had been planning a major solo show when she suddenly disappeared from all records. The mystery deepened when Emma discovered that Catherine's disappearance coincided with a scandal involving several prominent Cedar Grove families. In 1952, a young woman named Patricia Hayes had accused 3 wealthy businessmen of assault, but the charges had been mysteriously dropped and Patricia had left town shortly afterward. Emma found evidence suggesting that Catherine had been investigating Patricia's case and had discovered evidence of a cover-up involving some of the most powerful people in the community. Emma's investigation led her to the Cedar Grove Public Library's archives, where she hoped to find newspaper coverage of the events from 1952. What she discovered was even more disturbing than she had imagined. Every newspaper from that year had been systematically edited. Articles had been removed, pages had been replaced, and entire editions seemed to have been altered. The librarian, Mrs. Henderson, who had worked there for over 40 years, admitted that she had always found the gaps in the newspaper collection strange but had never questioned why certain issues were missing. The breakthrough in Emma's investigation came when she located Patricia Hayes, now Patricia Thompson, living in a nursing home in a neighboring state. Patricia, now in her late 80s, had been waiting decades for someone to ask her about what happened in Cedar Grove in 1952. With tears in her eyes, she told Emma about the night she was assaulted by 3 prominent businessmen, including Robert Blackwood, Catherine's brother. Patricia explained that Catherine had been the only person who believed her story and had been gathering evidence to expose the truth. Catherine had discovered that the three men had been involved in multiple assaults over the years and that powerful community leaders had been covering up their crimes. Catherine had been preparing to go public with her evidence when she disappeared. Patricia had been forced to leave town after receiving death threats, and she had never learned what happened to Catherine. Emma returned to the mansion with new purpose, determined to find evidence of what had happened to Catherine Blackwood. She spent days searching through the hidden room, looking for any clues that might have been overlooked. It was during this search that she discovered a loose floorboard that revealed a small metal box hidden beneath the floor. Inside the box, Emma found Catherine's final journal entries, written in the days before her disappearance. Catherine's journal revealed a young woman who was terrified but determined to seek justice. She wrote about being followed, receiving threatening phone calls, and discovering that her own family was involved in covering up the crimes she was investigating. Her final entry, dated just 3 days before her disappearance, revealed that she had hidden evidence in multiple locations around Cedar Grove and had made arrangements to have the truth exposed, even if something happened to her. The journal led Emma to a series of locations around Cedar Grove where Catherine had hidden evidence. In an abandoned barn outside of town, Emma found a cache of documents, photographs, and recordings that provided undeniable proof of the crimes Catherine had been investigating. The evidence showed a pattern of assault and cover-up that had been orchestrated by some of the most respected members of the community, including police officers, judges, and business leaders. Emma's investigation revealed that Catherine had been murdered to prevent her from exposing the truth, and that her family had been complicit in covering up the crime to protect their social standing and business interests. The Blackwood family had systematically erased Catherine from history, removing all evidence of her existence and her investigation. They had altered documents, destroyed records, and used their influence to ensure that the truth would never come to light. The revelation of Catherine's fate led Emma to uncover an even larger conspiracy. She discovered that the network of corruption Catherine had been investigating had continued for decades, with new generations of powerful families maintaining the same system of cover-ups and intimidation. The disappearance of the Blackwood family in 1967 had been their final act of self-preservation as they fled Cedar Grove. When they learned that federal investigators were beginning to look into their activities, Emma's research revealed that the Blackwood family had not simply vanished, but had been relocated with new identities as part of a witness protection program. They had cooperated with federal investigators in exchange for immunity, providing evidence that had led to the prosecution of several other families involved in the conspiracy. However, the truth about Catherine's murder and the systematic cover-up had been sealed as part of their agreement with federal authorities. The evidence Emma had uncovered presented her with a difficult decision: publishing the truth about Catherine Blackwood and the conspiracy that had destroyed her would finally provide justice for Catherine and the other victims. However, it would also expose the fact that the federal government had been complicit in covering up murder in exchange for cooperation in other cases. Emma realized that the power to rewrite history extended far beyond local corruption and reached into the highest levels of government. Emma's investigation culminated in a series of articles that exposed the truth about Catherine Blackwood and the conspiracy that had erased her from history. The revelations led to a federal investigation that resulted in the prosecution of several individuals who were still alive and had been involved in the cover-up. More importantly, it led to the establishment of a memorial garden in Cedar Grove, dedicated to Catherine and the other victims whose voices had been silenced. The case of Catherine Blackwood became a powerful reminder that history is written by those with the power to control the narrative, and that the truth can be buried but never truly destroyed. Emma's investigation showed that even the most carefully constructed lies eventually crumble when confronted with determination and the courage to seek justice. The mansion at 1247 Elm Street was saved from demolition and converted into a museum, dedicated to preserving the stories of those whose histories had been deliberately erased. Emma's work on the Blackwood case established her reputation as an investigative journalist who specialized in uncovering buried truths and giving voice to the voiceless. She continued to investigate cases where powerful individuals had used their influence to rewrite history, always remembering Catherine Blackwood's courage and the price she had paid for seeking justice. The hidden room in the mansion became a symbol of the importance of preserving evidence and ensuring that the truth survives even when those in power try to destroy it. The story of Catherine Blackwood's vanished history serves as a chilling reminder that the most dangerous conspiracies are not the ones that are hidden from the public, but the ones that are hiding in plain sight, disguised as respectable society and protected by those who have the power to decide what history remembers and what it chooses to forget.